Okay, you should have sound now. You should be able to see and hear both. Yeah? I don't have a clue in the world what happened on that deal. Not a single idea. Okay, and Race and I are we're stepping on each other. We're stepping on each other. He's working in the computer. I'm trying to start the stream. It's craziness over here. It's craziness over here. Okay. Hello everybody. So we're just going to see how this goes. Okay? Let's see how this goes. I'm just looking at my computer. I don't know what in the world happened on that deal. Not a clue. Not a clue. So did Race come back yet? I mean, he's not here. He's where he lives. Hi, Tori. Hi, Crafty. Hi, Crafty Jude. Hello, Barrett. You can hear me in Norway. That's a good thing. Just a second. I gotta send a message to Mr. Race. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. At least it didn't happen on Friday, right? How's my weekend? It's a little nuts, apparently. All right, so we were streaming a minute ago, and then we stopped. And unexpectedly, something, the gremlins, you know what it must have been? It must have been, never mind, we won't even say that. Okay, come on, computer. All right, we're gonna zoom out so the computer has a little something else to look at. I don't know. I'm not sure that we're totally 100% back, but let's just pretend. We'll pretend. We'll just pretend, okay? Just pretend. All right, so I'm drawing a mandala, which is what I was doing when I was so rudely interrupted by my own computer. It's the first time it's ever done that, but then, such is life. Such is life. It's good to see you all here. Thank you for coming back or never going anywhere, whatever the case may be. So when things get a little wacky bananas, as they are at the moment, then one of my go-to things is either doodling, because it's mindless, or drawing a mandala. So there you go. So that's what we're doing here. So I hope you all are having a good few minutes here. And I don't know how long I'm going to stream. I'm going to stream for a little while. We'll see how it goes. Hello, Carla from Portugal. Hey, Mindy. I'd show you the fur kids, but when my computer did that, it decided to disable the sponsor cam. So I can't even show you the sponsor he's being so nice. He's being so sweet and so nice at the moment. One of them is asleep on his chair, and the other one is asleep on the table opposite me, and so he's peeking through between the computers and watching me. So there you go. Hello, Lisa. Okay, so I'm just doing this, and I'm doing it in black, and maybe I should just, or I'm doing it in graphite on black paper. Maybe let's just switch to pens, shall we? Let's just live dangerously and switch to pens. Let's just switch to pens. So these are Moonlight gel pens. It's going to make the computer happier. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's what happened a minute ago. Computer got upset computer got upset because it didn't have enough color. It had black to look at, and it didn't like that a bit. All right, so anyway. So I'm going to get a piece of scratch paper. So that's what I have here. Because if I need to clean off the pen, I can do that. So what I have is a variety of pens. This is a Signo Uniball white. I have some Jelly Roll whites. I have a metallic Jelly Roll, and these are Moonlight Jelly Rolls. So let's just go for it and see what happens. Right? Let's just go for it and see what happens, because who cares? Who cares? It's a piece of cardstock. It's black cardstock. All right. So what color do I want to start with? I'm going to start with this one. So I have absolutely no idea what I was talking about. I think I was talking about going on car trips with my parents before things went upside down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go over the graphite lines that I drew a minute ago. If you have anything to say to me or question to ask, put it in caps. It takes a minute with the Moonlight pens for them to show up on the black. For them to come, it's kind of like a paint pen in that regard. It takes a minute before they become totally, have the full pigment load, pigment presence. Sorry, I have to answer a question for my granddaughter. Hold on a minute. Okay. So, yes. If you guys came here for anything fancy, it's not a good place to be for fancy today. Not in my studio today. Okay. Let's go. Let's move forward. Let's get rid of that white piece of paper so that things are happy. Okay, so let me come in pretty close, so maybe things will cooperate here. So let's do the way I approach what I do is I make a decision and I just repeat it. It saves planning. Sometimes I plan, but not very often. And the reason I'm doing this is for me and also to give people a place to hang out if you would like to hang out. I'm sure there are other people streaming, and so don't feel like you're under any obligation to stay if you have other people that you would like to watch and they are streaming at a regularly scheduled time. If you want to go watch them, please do, because this is only for fun. Okay? It is only for fun. Okay, so let's move on. And I said, if you have any questions or comments, put it in all caps, and I will try to look at the chat here every little bit and and see if anybody's specifically asking me something. If I run out of ideas, I'll have to go get my deck, my personal deck of Mandala Madness inspiration cards, because sometimes that happens to me, and that I do refer back to our deck of cards to really help me get off dead center if I get stuck. I don't normally get stuck, but you know, there have been moments where I'm like, I am out of ideas for today, so I'm going to have to go do something else and get myself. Just usually it's just like one idea. It's all I need is one idea, you know? Okay. So a lot of talk in the chat about what's going on worldwide. I get it. It's enough to make you a little crazy. My reason for streaming is to give people a place to go. Normally I would say, let's not talk about that, but you know, I think it's healthy sometimes for people to express their emotions and so forth, but it's also healthy to move on. So it's one of those things that it's like some other things. It's like when there's a natural disaster, if you have something that you can do to positively impact the situation, then you should do it. I firmly believe you should do it. And if you can't, if there isn't anything that you can do to make a positive impact, to change the situation or what have you, then most of the time it's a good plan to figure out how to help yourself. And oftentimes that is creativity that helps. I know I was looking for this statistic the other day before I did the broadcast on Friday. After 9/11 happened, the Quilt Festival in Houston happened right after that, like within just a few weeks in Houston, Texas. And I've forgotten what the statistic was. I have it written down someplace, but of course I couldn't find it. It's probably in a journal. Well, if you've ever seen my collection of journals, you'll know that there are a lot of journals to be had around here, and I don't know where it is. Anyway, after 9/11 happened, quilters went into it did one of two things. It either shut people down or and left them with, you know, bereft of their creativity. Or the other thing it did for some people was it exploded their creativity. And during that time, they put out the call, I guess it was the Quilt Festival, put out the call and asked people to create quilts in response to the whole 9/11 business. And I think they ended up with like 300 quilts or something like that. I mean, it was, 300 sticks in my mind. It might be the right number, it might not. But it was a huge, huge number of quilts that were created between September 11th, and these were big quilts, between September 11th and the Quilt Festival, which happened about, I think it was 6 weeks later. And it was pretty incredible. So, if you can find a creative way, creative outlet, then that is a very good thing to do. Cindy wants to know how I use the thieves oil daily. I put it on the bottoms of my feet. That's how I use it. Hi, Dana. Let's see, what else? Does the compass leave a hole in the center of the page? Yep, it does. If I push too hard, yes, it does. Sorry, I've just looked over at the chat here. Yeah, I put it on the bottoms of my feet is where I put the thieves oil. And sometimes if I'm doing, I do what's called Reiki, which is an energy work, and I do that with my husband most nights, not every night, but most nights. And on that, in that case, really close up, I put it on the palms of my hands and rub it in. So that's what I do. Okay, so let's keep moving here. What else are we going to do? This is really close up, so you're seeing a lot. You're seeing all the little ins and outs of, things that you don't normally see when I do mandalas, because you're so close. You are super close, but it's the way that you're going to get to see what I'm doing, right? So I encourage you to explore something creatively, because it is something that's positive that you can do during times of big stress. Things that don't help, I will tell you some stuff that does not help. Alcohol does not help. It will remove you from the feelings, but it does not help. Does not help at all, because all it does is make you feel, it'll take you away for a little bit, but then you come back to reality, or you come back to the situation, and then what you're left with is the body now has to detox from the alcohol. So, I'm just saying, not a good idea. No judgment, just saying it's not a great idea. Okay, so let's keep going here. I'm just going to pick a different color of pen just because. So look for something that you can do. Look for something you do have control over. You know what? I have control over this piece of black cardstock, usually, unless my muse overrules me, which she does from time to time. And if she decides to overrule, then we'll do something different. We'll take another approach. And I think I was talking before the computer went upside down a little bit ago. I think I was talking about taking car trips with my parents when I was a little kid. I'm from a fairly good-sized family, but I was born at the point in time when I was born late in my parents' lives. And by today's standard, it is not late, but by then, back in that particular time, it was. Hi, Marion. Am I using a bold point of the pens? These are the pens that I'm using right here. So it's the 0.3. Using the 0.3 millimeter fine line on both sets. Okay, so that's both sets are the fine line for this so far. I do have some other ones that are broader points, like this, which is the Signo Uniball UM153. This is a broader point. I don't know whether you can tell that. Let's try this. Can you see the difference in the point tips? So, but I haven't used the white one yet. Sure. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? I need a conversation of some kind so that I can just move forward with this. So that's why I'm floundering, trying to come up with something so I can just talk and not have to think. So, okay. So anyway, I think I was telling you at some point there about traveling with my parents, and we'd go to these restaurants or rest stops, they were called. They were always on the interstate, the exits of the interstate. And we would stop and go in there to cool off because we didn't have air conditioning in the car. And we'd get something to eat. And then there was all these touristy things that you could look at. And, of course, they wanted you to buy. They had different kinds of boxes of candy, which were always delicious, of course. And then keychains, and depending on what state you were in, they would have state memorabilia. So it wasn't always the same stuff from one store to another. But one thing they almost always had was a big display of tumbled stones. And as a kid, I loved those. And I just so coveted having those to take home. And I don't think I ever did. Hello, Malia. Hi, Chris. Yarlin, Marion, Carla, everybody that I didn't say hello to. Hello. Well, this is just let's just hang out and do something, chat together, and just do something. Let's just do something. So I'm just doing this from the center out. I have no thought about how I'm going to do this. It wouldn't do me any good to think about it anyway. Wouldn't do me any good to think about it because I very seldom ever stay with the plan anyhow. So I think that was where my first love of the stones came from, was when I was a little kid and taking those car trips, and and also the stones were always cool to the touch. Not cool as in, oh, cool, man, but cool as in touch cool. And I just loved that. So I think that's where it started. And there is a store that's not too far from us now. And that store has bins and bins and bins of stones, crystals, stones, whatever you want to call them. And boy, I can spend a long time in there. I mean, I can spend a long time in there. And they're all organized by pretty much by color. I mean, it is, to somebody like me, it is such eye candy. Literally, such eye candy. So much inspiration. I walk into that store and the first thing I do is it's just like I go, it's like the most calming, wonderful place for me. Super place for me. So, I have a question for you. I'll get you guys talking, not just me. What do you do when you encounter a time of great stress? Do you freeze? Do you get creative? What do you do? I'm interested. I'm really interested in what you do. Hey, Linda McAllister. Hello, Dar. Hello, Tawanda Sue. Hi, Shu. Welcome. I have a vast knowledge about all things. No. I do not have vast knowledge about all things. I just have some. I have a little. Let's put it this way. I am interested in many, many things. That's probably a more accurate statement. I am interested in many, many things. I do have a vast library, however. I know many people will go to libraries and check out books. Nope, not me. I go to the bookstore and buy the book. I have to really be careful with Amazon because, especially knowing that you can buy used books on Amazon, holy mackerel, that can get me in trouble in a hurry because If somebody shows a book and says, oh, this is a really good book, oh boy, my hot little fingers are on Amazon looking and looking, going, yep, I should have that. I should have that. I need that book in my life. Periodically, I have to go through and cull out all the books. Are any of you guys like that? I mean, really, are any of you guys like that? Annette watches people on YouTube. That has a calming effect. Oh, cool. Anybody else have anything that they do? Crochet. Johnny crochets. I don't know if it's Johnny or Joni. Crochets and works in a glue book. Yep. Sometimes naps are a good thing, man. Sometimes you just need to just sleep. Sleep. Yep. Okay, so let's go to another color. How about some wacky color? I don't know. These are all Moonlight pens that I'm using here for a minute. Let's see. Mandalas, I didn't even know what mandalas were when I first started drawing them. I truly did not even know what they were. Didn't know they had a name. I just saw someone doing it and I thought, okay, I don't know what it is, but I got to learn how to do it. And it never stopped. It never stopped. My fascination, I have a cycle. I don't know if any of you are like this, but I have a cycle, a personal cycle that goes, it's about 7 to 10 years, where I will be really interested in something and it runs that, it runs that amount of time and then it goes away. Then it's over. Clausman does wood carving. Yeah. Chocolate. Chocolate. There you go. Race has a little knowledge about a vast number of topics. That is not entirely true. Race has a lot of knowledge about a lot of things. He is, I don't know if you guys know this about him, but he is a brilliant human being. If you don't know that about him, it's time that you knew that, because it's true. It is true. And I would say that even if I wasn't related to him. And Clausman does incredible wood carving. And if you don't know that about him, it's time you knew it. So I have a vast library, but some people have vast knowledge. Lucinda does a junk journal, gratitude journal. Good for you. Good for you. You gotta do whatever it takes. You gotta do what it takes. Tough experiences are everywhere. And the key is, to me, and I don't always follow my own advice, but to me the key is to develop good coping things. And lest you think that I am a really always make the right choices. No, I have made some horrendous choices dealing with stress and coping. But I have learned. And I've moved beyond the wretched choices. I hope for good. And the key is, in my opinion, and that's all it is, take it for what it's worth. The key is to find good coping things, coping strategies, coping choices, call it whatever you want, in advance of things happening. Now, I say that, and most of us don't do that. Most of us develop the coping mechanisms, the coping skills after the thing or something happens, That's what most of us do. So if that's where you find yourself, hey, you're right in there. You're right on the scale of normal. But remember, normal doesn't live here anymore. The book just happened to be still on my table. Hey, Nancy. Do I have stress? Of course. Oh, thanks, Anne. Of course. There was one point in my life when, okay, I got to think here for a minute. There was one point in my life when my choice was to work out. And so I spent, well, first of all, I went to a therapist. And that's not entirely true. I went to my own doctor, for my own regular checkup. And I cried all the way through the appointment. And so she sent me to the therapist, which happened to be in her same office, because she was worried about me, which, looking back, it's like she was probably was smart to worry about me, because I was kind of a wreck. Didn't realize how much of a wreck I was, but I was pretty much a wreck. And that was really before things got really bad, But blessedly, I don't have the ability to see the future. That's a skill I don't ever want to develop or be blessed with. I've learned to just take things as they come. Anyway, the therapist then wanted the doctor to prescribe antidepressants for me. So they were they were very quick to do that, which, it was the best decision at the time, I guess, but it was a decision that for me was really had some pretty profound, we'll say profound effects. Because for me, and I'm only speaking for myself, but for me, the antidepressants stole or hid or whatever the difficult emotions, and I stopped crying. Indeed, I did. That was nice, because I didn't have to cry anymore. But they also stole my joy and every positive emotion that I had. Now, I don't know that that's common, and it doesn't even make any difference whether it is or not, but that's what happened to me. And so because of that, they told me that I had to be on that drug for 6 months. Can you watch it tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know whether it'll be on tomorrow or not, honestly. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It might not go well, so I might have to take it down. I don't know. So anyway, I'm only speaking from my experience. So I'm not here to argue or convince you or judge anybody. I'm only giving my experience. So anyway, it stole my every emotion, which there was relief in, but it also was, I don't think I can stand this. I think I'd rather feel the bad feelings. For me, I'd rather feel the bad feelings than to feel nothing at all. And one time I heard one of my husband's clients, he said something to the client, asked about me, and he told the client that I was what they had done, what the course of action was at that moment. And the client says, "Oh, she's on don't give a damn drugs." that was an appropriate description of that at that point in time for me. So anyway, I needed to get off those drugs. For me, it was not, I couldn't do it. And so when I'd managed to get to the 6-month time and I was allowed to get off of them, we had to do the whole weaning process thing, because you can't just stop those drugs. You can't just stop them. Once you start, you got to do what the doctor says. But when I finally was allowed to get off of them, they were still in my system for a long time. And so my way of dealing with that was to go to the gym and work out with a trainer and do cardio exercises. And I would do that stuff for an hour, sometimes longer, and sweat and sweat and sweat and drink lots and lots of water, just to get the drugs out of my system. Just to get the stuff out of my system. For me, as I said, I'm telling you my experience. That was the choice that probably was necessary. But man, oh man, devastating. And I didn't react well to the drug, and so that drug and I had a war for a really long time. And but anyway, I learned to make other choices. As a result of that, I made other choices, and I learned about mandalas. That's when mandalas showed up in my life. I learned about mandalas. I learned about Zentangling. I learned about doodling. I was always a very creative person. I learned about making jewelry and doing wire sculpting. And somewhere in that period of time, streaming was pretty new, and I learned how to stream. And you know how I learned how to stream? I stumbled onto one person who was streaming, and I asked a couple of questions, and then I went and bought myself a webcam, and I plugged it into my laptop, and I hit go live, and that's how it started. And I found that there were people that, were like me, that they wanted to be connected to other people, but they didn't necessarily want to go outside their house, to do it. And so that's where it all started. It's not looking too bad, you guys. It's not looking too bad. Okay, so I'm just going to keep playing, and this is what happens. I just start playing, and I just, see what... It's like, okay, well, let's see what this color does and what that thing does, and... And this is where I can get myself in trouble, because I can fiddle around with making a decision. So, make a decision. Just make the decision. I tell myself that all the time. Just make a decision. It doesn't have to be the right decision. Just make a decision. It's a piece of cardstock. And if I want to salvage the piece of cardstock, you know what I do? I just put black gesso over it. And then I can salvage the cardstock. I do the same thing with journal pages. I did that on journal page. Okay? I did exactly what I'm telling you. Okay? This page right here, there's our relatives. They're still hanging out waiting for help. This page right here that we did, not this week, but the week before, I could not get this to work. Could not get this page to work at all. Just could not get it to work. It might have worked for other people. It would not work for me. Black gesso came out, and I black gessoed over the entire thing. I had spent hours on this bloody page. Hours. It would not work. So I got the black gesso out, painted the entire thing black. There's all kinds of stuff under here. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of paint. All kinds of ink. All kinds of everything. And so I painted it all black. Blacked the entire thing out and then started going over the top of it. I like it now. But you know, that's how I feel about stuff like this. If it doesn't work, there is black gesso, man. There is black gesso. So Yarlin says that fussy cutting gives her cramps her hands. I would guess that's what you mean. Hi, Krissa. Totally confused on why today. It's just because. It's just because. It's not Friday, Krissa. It's Sunday. Yeah, I can believe that. Oh, you fell. I'm sorry. Blonde Lebanese. What is your name? Are you in Lebanon? The USA is Krista, the USA is upside down and twisted, just like every place else is right now. So we're just chatting. We're just chatting. I'm trying to keep track of where I am and watch the I'm trying to watch the chat, and I'm trying to do this at the same time. Anyway, okay. So, like I said, if all else fails, get out the black gesso and black the sucker out. Or the other thing I've done too, I've taken scissors and I've cut it all to pieces. There's something very therapeutic about doing that as well. And I don't always do everything exactly symmetrically. I'm not sure you've noticed that, but it's true. I don't necessarily do it all symmetrically. So for those of you, I can't believe there's 86 people here watching me and listening to me ramble on. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for keeping me company. You know what you're doing? You're keeping me from cleaning my house, which, my goodness, desperately needs that. Oh, goodness. This house needs some serious help. And I had it written in my journal this weekend, that was what I was going to get done. No matter what, I was going to get it done. Hey, Hottie Popo. Hey, Hottie Popo. Linda needs toilet paper. Oh, Linda, you might be out of luck, babe. You better get out some of your napkins. That might be the best. That might be the best solution for you there. Paper napkins to the rescue, man. Paper napkins to the rescue. Any mixed media artist should be set for life. Even if you don't have toilet paper, you should be set for life. Because you should have enough paper napkins to take care of the problem. So some people use a glue book to deal with uncertain times. Some people use doodling. Some people use Zentangle. Some people do mandalas. Some people just make marks. If you're not familiar with Ray Missigman and her story, she is worth following and learning about her story. Ray Missigman has made an entire artistic career out of mark making, repetitive marks, because it's calming. not unlike this, I just sometimes end up with maybe more of something that appears to be more organized than just random marks. Okay. Oh, thanks, Krissa. Annette cleaned her place on Friday. Man, I wish she'd clean mine. I know, Ah. Yeah, white layers of napkins, baby wipes. Just be careful what you flush. Be careful what you flush down the toilet. Because some of those things don't like to be flushed. Okay, let's see. Let's go on. Tissue paper. There's lots of toilet paper in Canada. Don't know what it's all about anyway. I know, Mary, it's the truth. It's just something, you know what? Some of it is just something to talk about. Hey, just whatever you need to do, blonde Lebanese, do it. Hi, Melody. I am here. I am here. I am here. Oh, except for your crafting area. Yeah, well, I wish I could say that. I made a huge batch of soup yesterday. I like soup. I make soup even in the summertime, the hot summertime. Okay, I gotta think for a minute. It's not easy. It's not easy thinking. So I gotta think. Okay. I'm telling you, it's not easy thinking. I don't think you're going to be able to hear, but Chance or Charlie, one, is over. They've settled on the chair. The chair I showed before the stream went upside down a little bit ago. Charlie was on the chair that I showed, and Chance has not gone over there. They really are too fat to fit on that chair, but that doesn't stop them at all. And so they're all there, all bundled up, snuggled into each other on that chair together. And they get their necks all scrunched around, and then the snoring starts. So I don't know that you can hear them snoring, but somebody over there is really tuned up. Another thing I've been doing is knitting, and I showed that on Friday. Showed the piece that I'm knitting at the moment, and I'm doing that because, for one thing, it keeps me awake, because my body tends to, when I sit down, tends to want to go to sleep on me. It's probably some kind of defense mechanism or something. I was looking at what Noit said. Sorry, I'm just looking back. Gotcha. So you have to find things that are a decent way to deal with this stuff. You just have to. You have to. Because if you don't, you'll drive yourself crazy, people. You'll drive yourself crazy. So what can you do? So yesterday I made a big batch of soup. I was going to clean, but instead I made a big batch of soup. And last night I had a wonderful conversation with my granddaughter, who just got married. And so she was telling me and showing me pictures and stuff and telling me about their trip. And so we had a wonderful conversation. You know, we should do more of that, shouldn't we? Have conversations with people that we care about, people that are important to us. Also, it's a really good time to cut the chaff out of your life. You know, if you've been involved in relationships that don't serve you, it's also a good time to figure out what to let go of. I think I might have let go of cleaning my house. Shame on me. Laughter is a very good medicine in all situations. And you know what? There's always something to laugh about. Always. Part of what happens in this world is we take ourselves too seriously. We take ourselves way too seriously. Okay, so let's go to this one. You like my color choices? I'm just using what comes in these two packs of these Moonlight Jelly Roll pens. I'm just using those colors, and that's what I'm using. So it's really hard for them not to go well together. Annette wants to let go of brother and keep his daughter. Just keep the contact to a minimum. Linda's looking for a toilet paper dealer. No kidding, Mary. I agree with you. Hello, Function of Light 1. I forgot your name. Andrea? Test my memory. Okay. Okay, so let's keep going here. Andrea, wow, that was a surprise. I can't believe I actually remembered that. It usually takes me a while to remember people's names. So in the first segment of this stream, back before the computer decided it had a mind of its own, look, I went right through those dots with that line. Right there. I went right through the line, through the dots. Oh well. It's a piece of paper. I was talking about the stones, and I was showing the stones that I carry in my pocket. And I carry those for a very specific reason, because they're calming. But it could be a charm. You know, it could be an old piece of jewelry that belonged to somebody that was important to you, or something else. Simply put, some women carry things in their bras, for goodness sakes, you know. It's looking kind of pretty, don't you think? I'm kind of liking it. This is not at all what I thought it was going to be when I started. And that is A-okay. That is A-okay. All right, let's see. What else do we want to do? I also talked on Friday about tapping. Meridian tapping is really good. There's a guy on YouTube, if you look up Tap with Brad, B-R-A-D, he has a series of short tapping routines that are very good. Nick Ortner is also very good. Lots of people have good tapping meditations that are really good. So that's another thing that I use a lot. Okay, what shall we do now? What shall we do now? Pardon me, that was rude. Rude. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mary. It is kind of spring-like, isn't it? Hi, Lee. As I said, I'm just telling you my experience. No. You know, if my comments keep somebody from getting the help that they need, that is on them, not on me. I do not accept that responsibility. Because I have said over and over and over, this is my experience. Yeah. I don't accept some responsibility for anybody else. Just for me. I'm not a big person who takes prescription medicine because I don't react well to it. That is not the case with everybody, and in no way am I telling anybody not to do what they need to do for themselves. Just me. Chris keeps food in her bra sometimes, but not on purpose. There you go. Yep, there you go. Sometimes it gets lost. Okay, what else shall we do? Let's go to the next section and see what happens here. I'm looking at my colors. I'm just looking at my colors and grabbing one. Maybe we'll go to this color. Let's go to this color. We haven't used this for a little bit. Hey, Kathy Berg. I just happened to look up in time to see you say hello. I'm sure that there are other people streaming, and so you are absolutely welcome to go and watch them. You certainly do not need to feel any compulsion to stay here. I am just simply avoiding cleaning the house and a few other things, although my body is getting hungry, so I'm going to have to go feed it in a little bit. Sometimes I get a little bit shaky if I don't eat. I think that's common for people. Okay, so don't you love how it just changes? It just, as it goes, it just shifts and changes. Shifts and changes. You just never know. Oh, Annette, you got timed out for some reason. I don't know what that was about. Don't take it personally. I suppose I could go get something to eat and eat while I'm talking to you, but honestly, I think that's just a tad bit rude, so I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that. Hey, Colleen. Oh, for some reason, it just timed you out. I don't know what that was about. Don't take it personally. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, so The way that it's showing on the screen, it's like it's glowing in the center of this, when in reality it's not really doing that. Hi, Jill. No, it's not Friday. It's not Friday. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. Yeah, it is. It's Sunday. Don't worry. You haven't missed a week. You have not missed a week. Thanks, Colleen. Thank you, Colleen. Okay, so we're going to figure out what we're going to do now. All right. Let's switch colors. Let's switch colors. Let's go to this color. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a mark here. I gotta have a landmark here, because sometimes I get myself off a little bit. I know it's hard to imagine that I could get off, but I do. So sometimes it's good to give myself a little landmark. So I subdivide a section just so I have an idea of where it is I want to go. I don't measure, I just use my eye, and if it's off a little bit, it's off a little bit. Okay, let's not do pink. I'm gonna do white, just because. Every time I say that, I hear myself breaking into sound. The Tin Man from, is it Tin Man? Because the wonderful things he does. Da, 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 da. Who is that? Who sings that? Okay, do I want to do this way? Okay. I don't know if I can do this. If I don't do it right to suit myself, I'll make something else out of it. Clearly, I can't talk and do this. Is Ray still here? He might or might not be. He was here when we needed him, man. He came in and came to the rescue. He came in and came to the rescue of the poor mother person. Every time I think I have seen the craziest thing that these computers and this technology stuff can do, I haven't. Something new shows up, and then I get to learn something new. When I first started all this technology business, my goal was to learn it. Okay, you all are going to get a big laugh out of this. I'm just telling you this up front. My goal was to learn it, and so I really poured myself into it so I could learn. And then I didn't have to ever deal with it again because I knew it. Now, is that not a joke or what? Is that a joke or what? Really? It was just such a joke. Because okay, how many of you guys, if you deal with technology at all, how many of you have learned something, like learned a computer, learned a phone, learned an iPad, or a tablet of any kind? How many of you have learned that thing, and then that's the last thing that you ever had to learn? No. The second you learn it is the second it's going to change. It starts changing, right? The notes I have. I've learned to date all of my conversations about technical things because they change and change and change and change. And some people love that. I know there's one person I'm related to who shall remain nameless, who, pardon my throat, when I talk and talk and talk, and I'm the only one talking, my throat goes wonky. Yeah, one person I'm related to loves figuring all that stuff out. And he always has, from the time he was little, but I'm not mentioning any names. Yeah. Oh my goodness, though. Not me. It's like, I want to learn it once. I want to really understand it, really learn it. And then I don't ever want to have to deal with that again because now I understand it. I've learned it. I got it. Moving on. Just in time for something to go, well, we're not going to make that program anymore. Of course, they're not programs now. They're apps. I mean, even that, even the terminology for something. Right. Hey, Dar. Oh. Tech is always changing and being replaced. Yep. It's so true, Linda. Yep, it is so true. It's just the craziest thing. It is the crazy, crazy thing. And if you don't do this for a while, if you like the streaming thing or the computer thing or, the online teaching thing, if you don't do it for a while, even if I skip a few weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks, coming back to it is, I'm like, I have to remember all this stuff. Now, there may be some of you out there in techie world that's not a big deal for. For me, it's a big deal. And so I end up, that's why I have lots of notes. I have a huge notebook. Do you want to see it? This is one of several, people. This is one of several. Okay? This is one of several notebooks. Okay, computer's going to be a jerk here for a minute. Okay, this is one of several. Okay? When all else fails, the really important stuff gets taped to the front. Yeah. But you see it's a scribbled up note. Or it gets, taped to the inside cover. And then it's on random pieces of paper. And then I have things that are paper clipped together. This is all one important lot of things. Look, if it fit in the folder to start with, which has, the important label on it, but things get updated, it gets written on the front of the cover of the folder. Or, notes like this. Look at all this stuff. This is this is our sound, this is the sound system. Yeah. Camera settings and on and on. And, this is some old thing that I was afraid to throw away, so I kept it. This is all just random stuff about my, some of it's typed up, some of it's scribbles, some of it's on the back of mandala pages. I suppose that's to keep me calm. I don't know. Right? Look. Conversations. Yeah. This is just, okay. And you'll notice these are all individual folders, right? And then you get back to the part where I was going to be really organized. I was going to be so organized, right? So I typed it all up and I printed it all out and made tabs. I put tabs on all this stuff. Well, you can see how long that lasted. Not long at all, because you know why? Because all this stuff changed. And so I realized that just putting it in folders where I could, oh goodness. This is the second or third notebook because I keep outgrowing the size of my notebooks. I know. Look at that. Crazy. Now I have to hold it shut with a big rubber band. Yeah, I don't know. That's only one notebook. I have several others down there too. I know. That's what you say, Linda. Sure, that's what you say. But the minute I get rid of that stuff, The minute I get rid of it, there's gonna be something in it that I needed. Some little bit of information. Oh no. Oh no. I would never do that. You know why, Kathy? Because I am so grateful. I am so grateful for that person. So grateful. Because he literally saved my life. And so, yeah. On top of that, keeps me... It's either going to do one of two things. It's either going to make me really young, or it's going to make me really old doing all this. And I haven't figured out which yet. So until I figure it out, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm just going to keep doing it. Yep, just keep on doing it. This is the kind of nonsense that I can just get lost in. This is what I call beating a line. Think of it like the old ball chain. Could be a knit, could be. Both at the same time, could be. Yeah, could be. I call this beating a line. Is this an original technique? Well, heavens to Murgatroyd, no. Ooh, I haven't had those words roll out of my mouth in a long time. That's a throwback to... Who used to say that? Heavens to Murgatroyd. Was some cartoon character. Was it a tiger? Gosh, it's been a long time since I even thought about that. Heavens to Murgatroyd. I don't even know what Murgatroyd is. But I do remember that cartoon character always saying that. Who said that? Hi, Tort. You're laughing with me? You can laugh with me or you can laugh at me. It's okay. My shoulders are broad. I can take it. I can take it. If you guys don't watch No Eat, she's in the chat. If you don't watch her art journal pages, you should. You should subscribe to her channel. Just saying, you can click on her name and subscribe to her channel. She's getting close to... She may have already passed it, but I was looking at her subscriber count the other day. I think she's close to 10,000 subscribers. Or maybe she's past it. I don't know. Who knows? See, I act like I know what I'm talking about, and then I'll say something like that, and then I go, oh, I don't know. Snagglepuss, is that who it was? Oh, yeah, Snagglepuss, that's right. Hi, Violet. Snagglepuss, yeah. I wonder if that cartoon's even still on. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Linda has a YouTube channel. There are a lot of people here that have YouTube channels. You guys need to subscribe to each other. Hi, Rhonda from Yogi Bear. Snagglepuss, is it Snagglepuss? Was he with Yogi Bear? I don't remember. Did you guys ever watch the Three Stooges? So many of those old shows from when I was a kid, they'd never get away with showing today on regular television. I loved the Three Stooges. Curly, Moe, and Larry. I loved watching them. I don't know why. I liked Larry's hair. He had the craziest hair. And poor old Curly. He was always getting the short end of the stick. And Moe was always supposed to be the smart one, but he never figured out how to get a better haircut. It always looked like his hair had a bowl put on his head to cut his hair, didn't he? But that would come on after school when I'd come home from school and I'd get to watch them. And I loved when they'd play an episode that I'd already seen before. Oh, I loved that. And Captain Kangaroo. I liked Captain Kangaroo a lot. Captain Kangaroo and Bunny Rabbit and Mr. Green Jeans and whatever the moose's name was. I can't remember what the moose was called. Was he just called Mr. Moose, wasn't it? They could make more stuff out of construction paper and tape. And if you know who I'm talking about, you'll know what I mean. And there was some local show that was on when I was a kid. I mean, it was local, as in produced in a TV station that was like 30 miles from here. And it was the something Playhouse, and I can't remember what it was called. But anyway, kids would go there. They would take groups of kids, like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and you could take, if you had a kid that had a birthday, you could go there and be on TV for the birthday, and they'd line up all the kids, and and the kids would say their names or not, depending on whether the child would be too embarrassed or starstruck. And I was in the audience for that one time. I was like, oh, it's so much littler than it looks like it is on TV. And isn't that the truth? TV or computer-generated anything, it's all such an illusion. I mean, if you guys saw my studio, people think I'm so organized. They don't see the piles of stuff that is off camera where you cannot see it. I would not let you see that. No way, man. I like this mandala. It's coming along. It's coming along. It is coming along. Now I'm at the end of this. Now I got to make up my mind what to do on something else. Okay. It looks pretty. I like it. Mary Hill has things that I do not know those. I do not know those. What did Mindy say? Wait a minute. I got to go back. Captain Kangaroo. The ping pong balls. Yeah, the ping pong balls. I remember that. And Grandfather Clock. Grandfather Clock. Oh, is Dorothy here? I'm just scrolling back. Hi, Dorothy. Okay, I was just scrolling back. Brothers left. Dar's three brothers like to practice the Three Stooges on her. No, I don't blame you. I wouldn't like that either. Bullwinkle. Yeah, Bullwinkle. I loved Bullwinkle. Romper Room. Let's see what else. Kim the Collector of Crafts. Red and yellow and pink and green. I'm not sure what that references, but Soupy Sales. Yeah, good old Soupy Sales. I remember him. Black background. Yeah, I really like for these pens, when you use the Moonlight pens, black really makes the Moonlight pens come alive. It really does. Whoops, I just made the camera all crazy like crazy bananas. They were in Britain when you were a kid. Okay. I was just looking. Hi, Lena. Just reading the chat for a second. Okay. I loved Grandfather Clock. Okay, so now what shall we do? I'm trying to think. It's always a problem when I think. It's always a problem when I think. Okay. Let's go to this purpley color and see what happens with this purpley color. It's not going to show up a lot because this dark purple doesn't show so much on the black. All right, but we're just going to add a little, because you can just never have too much. You know, you just can't overdo. That is for sure. You just can't overdo. In fact, if you get stumped on a mandala, my advice to you is just do more. If you get done and you go, I don't like it, or I don't think it's great, or I'm disappointed, or whatever, keep going. Do some more. Do some more. The problem is you didn't do enough. That is the problem. 9 times out of 10. You need to do more. I haven't even cracked out the Mandala Madness cards so far. So far, my imagination is working here today. My Muse must be hanging in there. Okay, I gotta have a little drink of tea. It is cold as ice cubes now. Bunny Rabbit, I know, Bunny Rabbit was so funny. We have 2 Andreas here today. Oh, lamb chop. Yes, lamb chop. Sherry Lewis, right? Sherry Lewis had lamb chop and all those. Mighty Mouse. Oh, yeah, I liked Mighty Mouse. I'm here to save the day. That's what I did. I came on today to save the day. Clearly, I've been doing this too long. Clearly, I've been doing this too long. Okay. Like I said, when in doubt, do more. Don't stop. Do more. If you think, oh, I don't know, it's looking kind of ugly. Oh, do some more then. Just do some more. When I get off here, I need to make some bread. I make a bread that is a grain-free bread, and it is delicious. It's like a quick bread. Oh my gosh, that is so good. I saw the recipe in a magazine, and it's not the cheapest thing to make. Once you got all the ingredients, you know, they'll run out at different times, and so it's not so bad. But boy, if you don't have any of the ingredients and stuff to start with, it is expensive to get going. And after that, it's not so bad. So I need to go make some of that when I get off here. Hi, Barbara. You're welcome. It's my... Pardon me. Sorry. I'm telling you, I've been here too long. I've been talking too much. Goodness sakes. Okay. I got a few more rings to fill up here, so we'll see if my voice will hold out. I'll fill up the rest of these rings. I'm going out to here, so we'll see. Oh, the Mickey Mouse Club. Yes, Howdy Doody. Yep, I remember Howdy Doody. Can you get the recipe for the bread? Clausman, if you can hear me, can you find that recipe and bring it up to me? It's in the basket where my supplements and stuff are. We'll see if he hears me. If he does, he'll bring it up. If he doesn't, I'll go down and get it. Okay. So, let us see what else. What shall we do now? I should be able to recite it to you. I probably can, but it's better if I have the recipe in my hot little hand. Oh, it's so good, though. It makes a loaf pan, like a regular bread loaf pan. Not one of the mini loaves, but it makes a regular bread loaf pan. And it doesn't fill it up to the top by any means, but it's probably half. Probably about half full. Not to be confused with half-assed. I'm telling you. I've been doing this too long. Too much craziness going on. It's making me wacky-doo. Okay, let's go to this one. All right, let's see, what do we want to do next? Let's do, apparently Claus Man must be asleep. Either that or he can't find it. That's the other possibility. He may have nodded off. He probably can't find it. Uh-oh, he's here. Here I am talking about him and he shows up.
I did hear it.
Thank you. Yep, that's it. Thanks. Here's this poor recipe. Here's this poor recipe. Written on, can you see? It's been full of garbage. All right, I'll read it to you. Are you ready? I'll read it to you. And then if you can't get it, you can rewind the stream and you can stop it, like you can pause it and get the recipe. So I'm going to read it to you. I'll go slow. It's called cinnamon almond quinoa bread. Okay. That's the name of it. Cinnamon almond quinoa. You have to be able to read my writing. Quinoa bread. Makes 1 loaf, 8-inch by 4-inch pan. Okay? All right, so here it goes. And you bake it in the center of it's got stuff on the recipe. That's disgusting. You bake it in the center rack 30 to 35 minutes at 350 degrees. I have no idea what that translates to. This is American stuff, okay? I have no idea what that translates to anywhere else. Line the pan with parchment paper. Okay, let me explain to you how I do this. I took my loaf pan. Hey, Claus Man, if you can hear me, if you can find it, would you get the cardboard thing that I used to pattern the parchment paper and bring it up? It's over there on the planning desk, beside that great big huge binder of recipes. Don't you love it how we stream around the world to communicate with each other? Anywho, I'll show you the pattern that I have. I took the time to make a pattern, and those of you that are mixed media people, you know exactly how I did this, but I'll show it to you just to save myself time. And so I just use it. I put it down on parchment paper, and I cut around it. And then I take my finger and get a little bit of butter on my finger, and I run it across the top of the pan. So when I put the parchment paper in the pan, it will stick. The butter sticks it to the sides of the pan. So anyway, that's how I prepare the pan. I'll show you the thing if he brings it up here to me. All right, it's 1.5 cups of blanched almond flour. Okay, if you're allergic to nuts, this is not a good recipe for you. 1.5 cups of blanched almond flour. 1/2 cup of quinoa flour, or you can use amaranth flour. I've also used garbanzo bean flour, so any of those other alternative flours. Oh, thanks. You brought the pan. Thanks. You didn't know you were going to get this little lesson today, did you? This is the pan. Okay, so it's a regular loaf pan, regular size loaf pan. Thank you. This is the pattern for the parchment paper. Okay, this is the pattern I made. So this is the side. These are the ends, like this. Okay. Let's see if I can. I don't know that I haven't bent this one up. Let's bend it up. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's just like that, cut out of parchment paper. And this is just leftover package material or box or something. And it fits down inside, when it's parchment paper, it fits down inside that pan. So these are the sides. Okay, those are the sides. And this is the end. Like that. And so then I just cut out the corners, just like you were doing for making a box. Okay, so it's easy peasy. But once you do this one time and you have it on hand, then you don't ever have to do it again. I just lay it down on the parchment paper like this. Same parchment paper I use in my studio. In my sewing room and in my studio, I use the same parchment paper. And I just use it, I put it on a cutting board, and then the parchment paper is down below. Then I use a knife, and I just run the knife all the way around like this. Right? And there's my pattern, there's my parchment paper. And then I take a little tiny bit of butter, and I put a little butter here, and here, and here, and here. And then I put the parchment paper down in there and put the sides up against the pan. How about that? All right. Okay, so that's that. So anyway, okay, let's go back. So these are the dry ingredients. 1.5 cups of blanched almond flour, 1/2 cup of quinoa flour or other alternative flour. And I told you the ones I've tried. 2 tablespoons of arrowroot powder, which is kind of like cornstarch, but it's not cornstarch. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed meal. So it's ground flax seeds. 2 tablespoons of coconut sugar. 2 teaspoons, small t, teaspoons of coconut flour. Okay. And a heaping teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Heaping teaspoon, it's probably, I can probably get almost a tablespoon of cinnamon heaped up on that spoon. It's a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 of a teaspoon of fine sea salt. Okay, so right to there, that much is the dry ingredients. So I put that in one bowl and mix it up with a whisk so it's all really well combined. In another bowl, you do 5 large eggs, 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay? Those are the wet ingredients. So you take a whisk and you whisk those together, and then you put the wet stuff in the dry stuff and whisk it together. You don't have to be careful with it because you're not going to screw anything up. Just get it combined. Get your pan that's all prepared. Put the batter in the pan, and it'll come up to about so far in the pan, maybe 1/3 of the way, and then bake it. And I actually bake it for 32 minutes. It says 30 to 35. For me, in my oven, it's 32 minutes. And you just bake it until you can put a toothpick in it and it comes out clean. That's it. Then you take it out. Okay, take it out, put the pan with the bread in it, put it on a rack, let it cool for 10 minutes. At the end of 10 minutes, then I just grab the parchment paper and I pull it up out of the pan, comes out slickered and slick, and peel the parchment paper off of it and put it on the rack and let it finish cooling, and that's that. So now that I've bored everybody to absolute tears, we'll go back to this. That's how I make that. Cinnamon almond bread. It's grain-free. It's not nut-free. It's not egg-free, but it's grain-free. Okay. So let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. It's really good. It's really good. I don't toast it, but after you know, we usually eat several slices when it comes, you know, when it's fairly cool, because it's so good. It is so good. Then I put it in a plastic bag and I squash all the air out of it, and I store it in the refrigerator. I've never had it go bad, but then I don't keep it long enough. It probably lasts us 5 days, but I do keep it in the refrigerator. I would not store it out on the counter or whatever. Okay. Moving on. Let's use this. All right. I've just about wiped off my graphite out here, so I'm going to have to kind of make it up as I go along a little bit. Yeah, I've rubbed my sleeve on this enough that I have truly wiped off my graphite lines out here. So I'm going to give myself a landing spot. Yep, Barb Pioneer Woman, that's right. That's me. I used to make yeast breads all the time. I loved making sourdough bread and that kind of stuff, but I don't do much with grain stuff anymore. But I do love this bread. Oh, I found it in a magazine and I went, oh, I gotta try this. I gotta try this. All right, let's use this. I'm gonna use just the same color here. I don't know if you guys can see, but hopefully you can. When all else fails, just talk about food. Talk about old TV shows. There's lots of things you can do to distract yourself. Distraction is not always bad. It's just what distraction you choose. As I said, I have chosen distractions in my life that were not good. I don't do that anymore. I don't choose negative distractions. Maybe for some people, art supplies are a negative distraction, but not for me. They're very positive. Mandalas are a very positive distraction for me. Yes, they are. Sewing is another great distraction for me. Thinking up new things to try to do. It's a good distraction. Whew, that's pretty. I like it. Or you can do this way. You can go either way. Yep, screenshot of the recipe. That is a good thing to do too. Absolutely. I just read what Joni wrote. Okay, so let's go to a different color. So I'm just going to give myself a landmark here so I know where I'm going. But I'm telling you, when you buy, if you have to go to the store and buy all that stuff to make that bread the first time, it's not cheap. It is not cheap. So, if you want cheap, then buy white bread, you know. That's going to be far less expensive. But I will tell you, we had the big white bread experiment here a few years ago. Because I bought a loaf of the cheapest white bread I could get at our grocery store. Oh, that was a lousy line. See, when you have a lousy line like that, then I may have to come back and do something about that, because that's a terrible looking line there. That's what happens when you're trying to talk and do long lines at the same time. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, I had the white bread experiment. I bought a loaf of white bread to make flowers out of. It was the old Aleene's tacky glue bread dough recipe. Tacky glue and a slice of white bread. Use a slice of white, just the cheapest white bread you can get. Pull the crust off of it. Tear it up in little pieces. Put it in a plastic bag. Put in a tablespoon of Aleene's tacky glue. It may work with other glues. I don't know. But tacky glue is what I used, and it's what they used, because of course they sold tacky glue. And you can make it, it mushes up to make a great clay. And so we had that, I had that loaf of bread, and I left it on the counter. And I left it on, I've forgotten now. Maybe somebody here knows how long I left it on the counter. But I left it on the counter in my kitchen for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It never molded. It never dried out. It stayed just as fresh as it did the day I bought it. I finally threw it out. It never molded. It was like, oh man. And we eat this stuff. Yeah, we eat this stuff. That took care of me eating white bread. Let me just tell you that. Now, if you eat white bread, no judgments here. No judgments here. If you eat white bread, go for it. It's just not something I was willing to do after that. Oh, yuck. I could just see that stuff living in my intestinal tract. They bury me. They do an autopsy on me, and you know what the autopsy guy would say? Oh, that white bread, that lasted a long time. That stuff never spoils. Yeah. Oh man. I do buy some, I buy a loaf of bread every once in a while, but I buy it from the, we have a couple of independent bakeries here in town that supply bread to the grocery store where I shop. And so it costs $5 or $6 a loaf, but a loaf of bread will last us quite a while. Of course, I store it in the refrigerator. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Nobody cares about that. No one cares about that. Oh, no. Walmart's ice cream sandwiches don't melt. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Annette, you have better bread than this. Let me just say that. Let me just say that. Gluten-free is expensive. Yes, it is. Oh, thank you, Sherry Habing. I don't know if that's how you say your last name, Sherry, but that's how I think of it when I see it. Okay, so we got that much done. I'm going to stop here in about 5 more minutes. I was going to try to get to the end of this, but as you can see, this takes a while, and also on top of that, I'm running my mouth, so that takes a while too. Let's get something out here on this outer ring, because if I don't, I'm going to lose all my marks. So, because they're trying to go away from me as it is. All right, so we're going to, I don't think you can even see it anymore, but I just need to get something out here, and then I'll finish embellishing it later. So if you came in like after the fact, I did stream for a little bit to begin with, and then my computer, something malfunctioned, and my computer just, I can't remember when it ever did this. I don't think it ever did this, but it just randomly restarted itself. And so when I finally got things, courtesy of Race, by the time I finally got started again, it sounds like I'm coming in the middle of something. Well, it's true, because I'd already been streaming for a while. So So anybody watching the recording, that's what happened. And I probably will not save that original recording because it's a whole lot of nothing. Whole lot of nothing. Okay, so let's see what else we can do here. So I encourage you to do something fun. And if you can't think of anything fun to do, make it up. Make it up. Anybody can get a piece of paper or a piece of cardstock. I started to say you could do it on a piece of newspaper, which I have done mandalas on printed material. It's not so easy. You could take a jelly print or a paste paper print, monoprint of some kind, and you can draw a mandala on top of that with black. You could use a ballpoint pen. You could use a jelly roll pen. Sometimes felt tip pens don't like to draw over acrylic. They will rebel and say, oh, I'm dried out. I'm dried out. I can't possibly. But a ballpoint pen will draw over it, like a Bic pen or a jelly roll. Those will draw over acrylic paint. Okay, so now let's do this. But you can, as you have watched me do this, I think most of you have been watching. It's not difficult. It's not difficult to do. I mean, I've done many more complex mandalas than this. I wasn't in the mood to do that. I was in the mood to do something simple and colorful and easy, and that's what we did here today. And maybe I'll come back and finish the embellishment on it, and maybe I won't. You just never know. If you're not subscribed to this channel and you want to know what else happens, what the rest of the story is, you can subscribe. I never tell people to click the bell and subscribe because I forget. But you are welcome to do that. Sometimes I do impromptu kinds of streams like this. Sometimes because I need company. Sometimes because I think, maybe it would help under whatever the circumstances are. That was kind of what I thought today. Maybe it would help. Positive distractions are just a good thing. If you don't get enough of Barb, you can check out HowToGetCreative.com. That's our membership website where I have all kinds of classes. And we have a VIP group that meets over there once a month. We have a free comes with the membership, an extra class. I keep saying free. You know, it's like, Barb, get a grip. Sometimes Barb's brain takes a hiatus. You know what I mean? Sometimes Barb's brain takes a hiatus. So we're just going to put these little dots in here just so that we have something that looks a little bit more finished, and then we'll go from there. Clearly, I'm not watching the chat. I will in a second. But my stomach is starting to growl like a bear, so I'm going to have to go feed it because, you know, this body I live in, I have to feed it, I have to pee it, I have to dress it, I have to bathe it, I have to poop it. You know what I mean? And that sounds rude, but that is just the reality, people. That is just the reality. Gets real cantankerous if you don't do all that stuff. Gets real cantankerous. See, that's why sometimes I don't leave these streams up, because I get my mouth going and I go, oh no, that can't stay on stream. Hi, Mary. Oh, anyway, craziness, I tell you. I know, it's such a hassle, isn't it? Hi, Bitten. Okay, I gotta go. Thanks for being here. I will put that recipe here just so if anybody wants a screenshot of it. Let's see. I'll do it this way. If anybody wants a screenshot of this, you're welcome to take. Here, let me hold it. Okay, now you'll have to look at it sideways, but there you go. You can screenshot the recipe if you want to. Realizing that I told you exactly how I do this. So anyway, there's that. Okay, that's it. I will see you guys later. Remember to get creative today because you know it's easy. I will see you guys later. Have a really, really good, peaceful evening. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Okay, feed your bodies well. Move your body. Do all the things we talked about on Friday. Get yourself, you know, there's nothing like putting something in your pocket that helps make you feel calm, you know? Put something in your pocket, makes you feel good. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.